Hey everybody, what's happening? Happy Tuesday night to you and yours. Welcome back for another episode of the Bay Ragni Show. As you see, we have some friends here with me tonight. But real quick, before I do my introductions, I just want to tell everybody that tonight's show and all of our shows is brought to you by Bombers and Sleeves. And they are the lifestyle apparel brand, and they're dedicated to bringing you the war on self-doubt. This is for the bold, the fearless, and authentic souls who never back down and wear it all on their sleeves. Bomb your boundaries today. ShopBombersAndSleeves.com. So we have two people with us tonight, and let me welcome back to the show. For 8 years, me and Mr. Sick Nick over there did Totally Driven Radio, and now that we're not radio anymore, we're you see my face, you see his face, you see our beautiful guest face, but so Nick. He had to join us tonight, and the reason why is our guest, the one and only Miss Dedee Pfeiffer, who is the star of ABC's Big Sky. And whenever it comes to anybody that's involved in the world of TV or movies, Nick is my guy, because this is Mr. TV, and he watches like 100 hours of television a week, and he knows Big Sky. So
he keeps people like me employed.
Absolutely.
Love it. Hi guys.
Welcome to the show. Thanks for doing this. You know what? Like, we have so much to talk about, and you have such an interesting story. And I don't even know if Nick knows this. Like, if you go in your IMDb, you look and you see like your body of work, and then you see this gap, and you're like, where'd she go? What happened? 10 years, and now she's back on the scene. But for 10 years, you left the world of entertainment and you were pursuing social work.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
What I gotta ask this first. Were you disgruntled with the entertainment business? Did you just want to get away, or?
It was a mixture of a lot of things at that point. First of all, thank you for having me on your show, guys. Thank you.
You're welcome.
And I'm always flattered when somebody wants me on their show. Well, long story short, like 10 years ago, I hit a point in my career where I kind of felt like I was loyal to an industry at that point, 30 plus years, that wasn't being so loyal back to me, in the sense that aging wasn't okay. Men were getting all chubby and wrinkly and gray, and they were getting sexier and more employed. We were becoming less employed. I'm raising 2 boys on my own, and I'm kind of going, what kind of message is that sending to them? And meanwhile, I really love helping people. It's always been like my thing to do, my right. So I've always been volunteering everywhere, all over the place, while working or in between working, and even before I started as an actor. So when I hit this kind of weird crossroads, I just felt like, the industry won't miss me. I'm going to go get this thing called a degree. I had not a clue of what I was doing. Graduated in 82, barely. And basically told I was pretty, not stupid, but not the smartest, crown in the box in any one class. And so I walked up to community college and was like, hey, I want to help people. And they're like, hey, what degree do you want? And I go, hey, I don't know, you tell me. And they're like, hey, that's not how it works. You tell us. And I go, I really thought I'd go get one of those things that took like a year or two. 10 years later, Miss Pfeiffer. Clearly.
Wow.
Yeah, 10 years. 4 years to get a bachelor's, bachelor's of psych, and then, wait a minute, is that math? Yeah, no, I'm sorry, 4 years to get my AA, because I needed a bunch of prerequisites, because I had a ton of learning disabilities, which led me to believe I was dumb growing up, because they didn't know what there's a cat on your back. That is, I'm sorry, I'm like the animal girl. Oh, so cute. Oh, I love this. This is the best interview ever. I'm sorry. Oh, look at your kitty. She understands. So basically, I thought I was dumb. I was going to go get this degree. I was wrong on a lot of levels. I had learning disabilities, which once identified, I went to straight A's. It took me a long time because I was a single mother with 2 boys, could never do full time. And I didn't understand why there was an X in the math equation. 2 plus X equals 5. I'm like, well, that's a typo. They're like, no, that's algebra. I went, no, that's a typo. And they're like, oh, Jesus, this girl really, and thesis statement, we grew up with, I didn't have computers, phones. I didn't know any of that stuff growing up. I was, like I said, barely lucky to graduate. So I had to really start from scratch in college to even just get to the classes to get the AA. Then another 2 years to get my bachelor's of psych, and then 3 years, and here's the fun story, which I don't think you guys know this, it's not in my bio, 3 years to get my 2-year master's degree in social work, because I took a year off in between to get sober. I went to rehab and got my shit together and had to finally address the fact that I was, an alcoholic, and it was just slowly killing me. And it's the best thing I ever did. And I'm here to tell you, I'm almost 3 years sober. And
congratulations.
Everybody out there struggling, I get you. I get you. And especially with the pandemic, So my area of concentration as a social worker is on those experiencing homelessness, mental illness, and substance use. So that's what happened. And then I was literally at the very end of my last year in my master's program, because I'm usually like a little late in the game to figure things out. I then realized, hey, wait a minute. I paid off all my loans by selling my home and everything else. But then I was like, how am I supposed to support myself on $50,000 a year in Los Angeles with 2 boys in tow? And I thought, oh no, what am I going to do? But I just kept my pedal to the metal, kept my sobriety in check, my recovery, my journey. I knew that my heart was in the right place and that somehow I was going to make it work. And then I got a phone call from my brother-in-law, David E. Kelly, out of nowhere. The man never calls me, never texts me, and says, hey, are you still acting? He threw me a lifeline. He had no idea.
Okay.
That's
Okay.
amazing.
So let's rewind a little bit.
I finished my master's while doing Big Sky. Yeah.
Holy cow. Okay, let's go back to the sober part first. So you got sober 3 years ago. Was because part of, like you said, part of that you wanted to pursue was people with substance abuse. Was that something that kind of helped inspire you as well?
My area of concentration was always mental health and those experiencing homelessness. I added substance use once I got sober. It was actually areas that when you have it and you're not able to deal with it, it's really painful and very scary. And although I was really interested in, I learned all about it, but honestly, it's the book learning. Also, and then both of my internships, which was in the encampments with those experiencing homelessness, and the Department of Mental Health my second year. But honestly, it was my own journey in being sober, going to rehab with other people. That to me is like the cream on or frosting on the cake when it comes to, it's the whole thing, but my own experience is what I'm going to pull from, which I think is really like gold. I know that if one of you right now is like, guess what, hey, I'm sober, I'd be like, wink, wink, I get you. And guess what? We know each other, but we got you on that level, right? It's just a way. And also, you know why I was so loud and proud and told you guys that? Because it's really important that we start to talk about the social stigma that revolves around addiction and mental illness. I'm on the set of Big Sky, and I'm like, hi, Dedee Pfeiffer, I'm sober. And they're like, wow, why'd you just spit that out? And I said, because I'm proud to say I'm sober. I almost died, as all addicts almost die from their disease in one way or another, right? And I have people come up and whisper, hey, I'm 15 years sober. Or, hey, my dad is 5 years clean from meth. And I always go, hey, why are you whispering?
Right.
Absolutely.
And I go, that's why I'm loud. Because we're still whispering. Hey, Alcoholics Anonymous. You don't want anybody knowing that you're doing something really kind of wonderful. Yeah. Like you're getting your shit together. And here's what I really want to say about those of us who are in recovery. And you can be in recovery for the rest of your life. You never get over your addiction, right? But you go from the identified problem in your family and life to the identified possibility.
I like that.
Right? Think about that. That changes the way we look at those of us. We do go from the identified problem to the identified possibility. Mm-hmm. That's exciting, and I'd like to be part of the solution. Keeps me sober every day. And it also shows my boys, if God forbid one day they get that nasty little, gene, they got a soft landing with mama. Right? or their friends, or my friends, or any one of your listeners, right?
Absolutely. I'll tell you what, I'll give you all the credit in the world. Like the other day I was talking with my longest friend since kindergarten, and we started partying together, in grade school. We went through high school, we lived together, we went through life, and we partied, we played in bands together. And he's been, I couldn't believe it was that long, but he was saying it's 16 years he's been sober. And he was a very bad drug addict and alcoholic. And he realized he was like, I had to rush him to the hospital one night, and like he OD'd, and it was bad. And it's funny because I realize now talking to him, he's just so clear, and it's amazing, like from where he was to where he is now.
Yeah. So to have compassion for those who are still in their disease. And then also, how about to your friend who's 16 years? And I'm telling you, it is not easy.
No.
It's a lot easier to relapse and use anything as an excuse. There's really, I know people who've lost children who have not relapsed. And I know someone who broke up with their girlfriend or boyfriend, broke up with them, and used that as a way to relapse. So, relapse is a whole, you're going to relapse.
Yeah.
But I'm telling you, it's really hard not to have relapse be part of your story. And sometimes that has to be. Thank God that's not mine. I have, but I use a lot of skills that I learned that I'd love to share one day. So one day I'd like to bridge my social worker skills and my sobriety skills and my desire to help people together and my fan base and create like a show to help people. Wouldn't that be fun?
Nice. That would be awesome.
Yeah. Will you guys be on it?
Absolutely.
Your cat?
As he's biting me. Yes.
But yeah.
He's holding on for dear life. So it sounds like you really, like, once you started diving into that world of going back to school and pursuing that dream to become a social worker, like you didn't realize like what you really bit off once you got involved in that.
That's so me. I always just think, hey, I'll just go do this. And somebody might go, hey, Dedee, did you think about that? I'm like, you know what? It's so me. I'm like so in the moment, a little bit too much. I mean, 10 years later, you didn't figure it out. I'm like, I can live on $50,000. And then when I figured out tax and then rent and gas, and my children do like to eat, and I wait a minute, I was very like, everyone else I went to school with were pretty much on their own. They're like kids, or even the older students were by themselves or had a girlfriend or boyfriend who worked, So, but they say, I think I just said this earlier in this other interview, somebody said faith works best in the dark. Boy, if I heard that the other day and I was like, well, that's true. Because I was like, I'm just going to believe that things are going to work out somehow. I have no idea how. But like I said, as long as you know that the lens that you're using to look through the world is coming from a good place of love and hopefully compassion, that Mother Earth will, figure it out. If you have a God, that your God will help you out. I have Mother Earth.
Nice.
Mother Earth is my girl.
Now, how about... Go ahead, Nick.
Oh, thank you. So let me ask you, with the psychology and everything that you learned there, did that have an effect on the way that you approached your acting? And because I'm assuming that you got a little bit more insight into people and the way that other people think and motivation and things like that.
Yeah, that's actually a great question. That's what I love about Denise. I mean, because David, all he said to me was, I think I have this great role for you. Her name is Denise. I'll send you the script. And then that was it. And I got the script, and she was just, in the office and all that. And I thought, oh, I get her. And what I really liked about her is that she's a smart ass. Love smart asses. And I thought there's so much room to now be able to paint her with this brush of skills that I'd learned as a social worker and as a psych major and as a just all the classes I had to take. And I started looking at my scenes through that lens. And for instance, if you look at the show, you'll notice she's always got this big mug. It's filled with coffee, 'cause that's what us addicts do when we're in we drink a shitload of coffee. I'll have her be a smoker, but I quit smoking a year ago. Can't do that. No. But
Great
I made,
job.
yeah. So I made Denise sober, And this next season, I'm going to ask them to put little things around my desk, like one day at a time. Just, little things that other people who are in recovery will be like, oh, Denise is sober,
Nice.
And the writers keep saying, oh, Denise is sitting at her desk drinking tea. And I'm like, no, she drinks coffee. And they're like, what? Dedee's so weird about, there's a big difference between a tea drinker and a coffee drinker. I'm a coffee drinker. And they're like, okay, right, Denise? Don't get Dedee's panties in a bunch, right? Because it's my thing to my sober friends. They go, yeah, she's drinking coffee because she's drinking coffee. So I made her sober. I made her she tries to look at life through the lens of biopsychosocial, which is very much the way I was taught, looking at the whole picture. I've also like to play Denise as somebody who is, the way I think that she's such a team player is because she's not going to tell you what to do. She knows the answers, but she's going to help guide you, scaffold you to the answer, help lead you to the answer, which makes you a better team player. Yeah.
It does, and it's interesting because the role that she has within, let's say, like the office setting there, in a lot of ways, it really is sort of like a support staff. So with all those different layers to the other two characters that you interact with on a regular basis, there's got to be a lot of times where she would play sort of the psychologist or the therapist or somebody that they would just sort of talk to and unload on when, something bad happened. And let's face it, a lot of bad things happen.
Yeah. I remember I was doing the thing with Catherine, actually, and she was at the board, and it was right after, well, I don't want any spoiler alerts. There's a character in the pilot that something happens to. And for those who've seen the show, you know what I'm talking about. Those who haven't, start binging it now because we're coming back Tuesday for a whole other bunch of craziness. And her character's really upset, running away from her feelings, just mowing through it, And Denise has this line, and I decided to take a beat before I gave her the line. And Catherine was like, "Oh, can you pick up your cue? Can you pick it up? You're kind of leaving me hanging." And I said, "How does that make you feel when I'm not running with my line?" And she goes, "Well, it's making me feel really uncomfortable." I said, "Maybe that's what Denise is feeling." She's to get you to slow down. And she was like,
"That's amazing."
Yeah, and I said, "It's called hard listening." I said, "Denise is hard listening. I'm just listening with my whole body, my whole soul." And so I it was like I gave her a freebie. I'm like, just go with the girl. Freebie, like you don't even have to act. I'm giving you this feeling by not giving you the line when you want me to. You know what I mean? And those are those little moments on TV sometimes that are very hard to capture because we go so fast. Mm-hmm. I call it a little golden nugget. Those are freebie golden nuggets where if you catch it on film, right, people kind of go, "Oh, that was a really good scene," and they don't really quite know because there was something. Right. Or why? Because it was an organic moment that happened organically, and you got to see that while the actors discovered it in real time, right? That's fun stuff.
So you, like we said, it was 10 years you're out of the business, and then your brother-in-law gives you this call.
Yeah.
Had the conversation in 10 years ever come up where he said to you, "Hey, I might have a role that I think you'd be perfect for," or did you ever say, I'm getting kind of the itch or the bug to get back into acting?
Have we met? No. Family, we don't talk shop. Michelle and I don't talk shop. David and I have never talked shop. I mean, Michelle and I talk shop when it comes to I'm like, "Oh, my neck's getting all wrinkly," and she's like, "Girl, you got to put some cream on that," or I'm like, "Oh, I'm balding," and she's like, "Well, are you washing your hair every day?" No, but we talk, but not really shop. Like I found out she's doing the Betty Ford story. I found that out from one of the other cast members told me. I called her, I'm like, "Bitch, you're doing the Betty Ford story?" She's like, "Yeah." I said, "I'm so proud." I said, "Sal, wow. You're playing one of us. You're playing one of me." And I just started almost crying. I said, "Wow." I said, "Nice. I had to find out from somebody else." And she's, "You always find out from, I'm always the last to know anything in the Pfeiffer family." And guess what? Nothing has changed on Big Sky. All the cast know everything. And they on David, I know all this stuff. I'm like, "Guys, I know we don't talk shop." Like after he said, "I'll send you the script," that was pretty much it until there was a Zoom meeting, 6 months later after COVID or whatever it was, right? So
what was your initial reaction then when he made that call? Were you?
That's what I'm saying. I was like this. Where's my phone? I was looking at my phone. I was in the middle of interning. And I looked at one of the other interns who's not in the industry. I don't think she doesn't really knew what I did. And I go, can you read that back to me? And she's kind of looking at me like, yeah. I go, and I said, and I think the poor girl was like, what? Dorothy's acting really weird. She showed me her text from some guy named David. Because I really kind of just went, huh? I was in shock. I think I'm still in shock. I have imposter syndrome. I still think that they meant to call somebody, David meant to text somebody else, and I intercepted the text. I'm still waiting for them to go, it was a mistake. The cast here. I'm like, I knew that. I knew it. So I was no more of a surprise. I was no more surprised than anybody else. But again, I kind of think that had he hired me at any time before, I did read for a couple of David shows back in the day. I wasn't right for it. But that's what I really love about, my family. We're all very hard workers. My family, my dad raised us children. That's 4 kids. You want something, you earn it, period. Had they given me a role because they felt sorry for me, that would have made me feel like crap because, I have a lot of integrity. I have a lot of humility, but I also have a lot of integrity. And although I'm not above getting help, I'm not stupid, right? Especially as a single mother, it takes a village.
Sure.
But out of all the other times that I didn't get the role for David shows, it was like, well, somebody else was better for it. And guess what? They were. I'm always about let the best person get the role, right?
Right.
But I got to say, it's pretty, I just thought, wow, this is crazy. I actually called my sister right after he texted me and said, I think David has offered me a role. And she goes, he did offer you the role, Dedee. But here's the thing, because I had to for 10 years. Yeah, I was like, really? Really? She's like, yes. She goes, yes. And I was like, oh my God. I think it still hasn't sunk in because it's such a cool thing. Because it was also not only flattering, but so appreciated because the timing of it was just phenomenal. Like I said, it was literally a lifeline, I'm still waiting to get fired because that's
So now how about the whole pandemic COVID situation? Did you think to yourself, how do we tackle this now?
Well, dude, we were in New Mexico. We had literally just started no film. We only filmed one little teeny scene, but we had just met everybody. We've been hearing rumors. There's this pandemic. I had to Google pandemic. What the heck does that mean? Epidemic, pandemic. And then I remember Catherine going, this is going to be really bad. I'm like, whoa, Debbie Downer. Relax. It's just crazy. So we did wardrobe. We met, did a cast reading, lighting, just all the beginning stuff, right? And then, like I said, Jessie, who plays Jerry, had just did a self video that her character takes. And that was it. I flew home to go check on my boys real quick. To be like, okay, guys, going back to New Mexico. Mama's starting the filming, the whole thing. And before I got on the plane, my friend goes, Dedee, dude, when you get home, go to Costco and get toilet paper immediately. And I was like, toilet paper? What is wrong with you? She's like, I'm not joking. People are going crazy over here. Go to Costco. So I stupidly went to Costco when I got home. And that was traumatizing. I'm still traumatized from what I saw. My arm was almost ripped off reaching in to try to grab that 24 roll of toilet paper. And that was it. Everyone else was sent home the next day and everything, we just shut down.
Wow.
And we waited and we waited and we did not know the fate of this show. We didn't know, like everybody else who was right in the middle of something.
Right.
We were literally on your mark, get, stop, and when you got a network and a lot of money and a pandemic, which is so dangerous, and we work without masks, no one really knew much about it.
Right.
How to we were just like, what are we doing? And then I'm not sure exactly how much longer. Finally, we got contact that we were coming back, but we're going to Canada. And that's how we landed here in Canada.
Wow. So
we work in crazy, crazy ways right now. I mean, I haven't even met more than half the cast because if they're not in the scene with me, I've never met them.
Wow. That's got to be so crazy. How about like the crew and all? Like, I mean, have they like cut down even like on crew members to keep it safer? Or?
It's like a skeleton crew. Like most of the producers and people who involved with the show are still in LA. People correspond via Zoom.
Okay.
We have Bubble A, Bubble B, and Bubble C. Bubble A are those of us who have to work without masks. Only those people are allowed. We get tested 3 times a week. Yeah, I drive an hour to the studio. If you're not working, then you're driving an hour to the studio, depending on where you live, to go get tested, which is a small sacrifice to keep people safe. Yeah. So what happens is when you're in a bubble, if somebody gets it, then it's only that bubble that they have to then yank out, and it's that A bubble, which is us, we have to be careful of, because if we in front of the camera get sick, the whole thing shuts down, right? Ooh. So, yeah. So basically, honestly, I would not notice, I wouldn't know any of the crew if I saw them on the street, because I've only met them with masks. And only the A bubble and the B bubble is the crew that's on the set. But usually when we come there, only the few that have to be there when we're blocking, we leave, then they come in and fix everything. Then they leave, and then we come in. It's very disjointed. And then those 2 bubbles won't work with the C bubble, which are the ones making the sets and stuff. It used to be one big old and then actors get together with people, the crew afterwards, and have beer. Well, I'd have coffee. That's changed too, by the way. The rap beer for me, rap beer. That's weird too for me. I spend a lot of time alone. I don't know how to do that. I don't know how to socialize yet without drinking. I have to figure that one out.
Let me ask you, has COVID changed the way that the show is going to tell the story? Because up until now, it's been pretty straightforward as far as storytelling goes. But a lot of shows have sort of fallen into various, forms of the Zoom meeting and technological things to sort of bridge that gap between, what was supposed to happen on the show and what they're actually allowed to do now because of COVID. So will that play a factor for the rest of the season in any of the storytelling, or does your pod scenario sort of eliminate some of that necessary?
Well, actually, that's a great question. Sick Nick. I love that name. That's such a great name. Well, what happens is in the very beginning, in the pilot, they wrote it and rewrote it. And there are hints in the pilot that we are I'm dyslexic, post-pandemic.
Okay.
If it's very lightly strung through, and which I wanted to play more of the post-pandemic elements. Actually, one scene I do when I went to go give Jenny something, I sanitize my hands before I give it paper. It was just something to do, but it was also a little like habitual from having done it for so long. Like right now, I don't know about you guys, but I wash my hands now. I used to never wash my hands. Now I just do it absentmindedly, just be right. So I wanted to keep. A lot of us want to carry some of that in. I think, and I don't want to talk out of school, but I think it was a conscious choice to basically mention it's post-pandemic and then get rid of it. And I think that was strategic because we wanted the show to be a relief from damn pandemic, and we didn't want our show to remind you that we're still in this shit show called a pandemic, right? So I think it was hinted at, we're past it, and that's when Big Sky starts, just to let people check out for an hour, because other shows are mentioning it, kind of reminds you, oh yeah, that's right, I still can't go to a bar, I still can't hug my grandma, or actually now something you can. Puppy! But you see, I think it's strategic to give people a break.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm actually in a bubble right now. My fiance has it.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah. So tomorrow is day 7 of our quarantine, and she's like in the one room, and I'm in the rest of the house, and yeah.
Oh, okay. So she has it. So she's in a room.
Yeah.
And you got the dog and the cat, though.
I have the dog, the cat, and her daughter.
Oh my God, you sound like me. I got 2 boys and a cockatoo and a dog and a cat. I'm sorry to hear that. I hope that she's going to be okay.
Yeah, she'll be all right. It's thank God it's like it's for her. It's kind of like an over exaggerated flu.
Yeah. It's such a weird time that we live in, right?
It really is.
it's almost surreal. I think that we all just kind of just started surviving or not during it. I think, now that we're starting to slowly come out of it, I think it's kind of like we're starting to take that breath and also acknowledge the grief of having lost what we used to know was normal. Our normals now will be new normals. There's a lot of grief our country and other countries are really going through, and I think that we need to be sensitive to each other about, and everyone handles that differently. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
It's different, and and I forget that too, even with my boys. I'm like, what's your problem? And then I realize, oh God, Dedee, he's a teenager going through a pandemic, and you're in Canada, and they're in LA, and give him a little bit of slack. Give him a little bit. But still clean out the litter box. And
I did it this morning, I swear.
People going through a pandemic, clean litter boxes. It's shocking.
So I finally watched the pilot episode literally like an hour and a half ago. And
you haven't seen the whole show yet?
No.
Well, luckily I haven't said anything.
I watched the pilot and wrote away.
He's about to go for a bumpy ride, isn't he?
Yeah. I messaged Nick. I'm like, I didn't see that coming.
Dude, I didn't see it coming. I read the script. Now I'm going to talk as if people haven't seen the show. I read the script, and when I got to the last page, I went, huh? Oh, I misread that. I went back 2 pages, read it again. Nope, that's what I read. Oh, I must be, what? Are my glasses? And I read it a third time, and I called my manager, and I said, have you read this? He goes, no, you actually haven't. I go, this is crazy. See what they just did. And it also sets up the show. You never know in any one episode what's going to happen because of the way they set it up from the pilot on, right? Right, Nick? I mean, you don't know.
It's amazing. So me and Bay are actually, we're pretty big fans of Brian Garrity. We're familiar with him from his other show, Chicago PD. So I had messaged him. I was like, you got to see this. The character he plays is insane. It's so different. And then it just got me thinking, though, like, how cool it's got to be. Like, I consider this. This is definitely sort of like a golden age for television right now. You're getting a lot of sort of A-level actors that are coming into TV, and maybe the golden age of the ensemble as well, with shows like, This Is Us and A Million Little Things and Big Sky. This is a phenomenal cast, right? I mean, I don't know that I can point out one person that I haven't seen in 3 other things that I absolutely adored them in.
Yeah. And that's what I love about Big Sky. It's such a diverse cast.
It is.
So diverse. You got young, you got some middle-aged, you got some old ones, you got people you've seen forever, some people you've never seen before, and others you're like, I think I've seen their work, I'm not sure. So, and it's so fast-paced. There's so much going on, right? That it's like there's so much. Sometimes you have to stop and rewind, or like I've done that where I've stopped and watched the scene twice because the actors, not me, because I hate watching myself. I actually fast forward those scenes. But the other actors, I'll rewind so I can see what they're doing in it, because everyone is so good in the show. There's a lot, and there is a lot going on. Yeah,
there really is. It's very layered. There's so much to almost every single character.
Yeah, it's fun, and we have this new. Babe, you got to get caught up, dude. We are already almost done with this. It's a bottleneck. Our one season is CJ Box's The Highway, and it bottlenecks into. Oh, I'm so sorry. I'm gonna get fired. Another book. Where did I write it down? Okay, it's the Crime Saucers. This is one jacked up family. Let me tell you.
Oh wow.
Whoa! I mean, because remember now, because the first neck of the season was pretty crazy, right? And we had, like you said, amazing actors. So this second bottleneck, the second book that bleeds into this other book, we got to really keep that caliber of actor, of acting up, that oh my God, fast paced, lots of stuff going on. Oh my God, who's going to die next? You never know who and how, right? Yeah, the who, the how, and
the how, especially the how.
How, and well, with Lugarsky, isn't that the who? Didn't see that, right? You'll know what we're talking about when you get caught up. Don't you love it when you now he's going to watch it, right?
I said to him, I'm ready to binge it all right now. I can't believe I got to stop for the interview.
Exactly. Yeah, it's a fun show. It's fun.
So now what happens from here with your social work career? Does that get put on hold?
Well, this kind of like life, you know, you just never know where the structure of your life is going. But I know that my values and the harmony that I have with the universe still has to be helping people somehow. Right now, being in this pandemic and working on the show, I had to rethink about it. Like, wait a minute, I'm supposed to be a social worker. I'm supposed to be helping all these people. And then my friend said, well, sweetie, you are helping people by entertaining them once a week. You know, allowing them to check. You're part of a great cast that you give people the opportunity to either binge, if that's what they're doing, or some of my friends love to wait once a week. They love that anticipation of the countdown, 6 more days, 5 more days, you know, and then they get to the show. And I get to be part of that show to help people check out for an hour, right? Just to check out with such hard times. But I'm not going to stop here. I'm hoping to blend my degree and my education, and then certainly my recovery in with the show and my fan base in a way of helping people on a larger level than I ever could as a solo social worker. So I want to blend those two things together somehow. And that's never been done before. So I'm excited about that. I just have to figure out how to make that work.
Interesting. Very interesting. I'm pretty sure you're going to figure it out.
Thank you. Well, I'm 57 and I got 2 boys that the way I try to live my life is by just showing them versus telling them. It's like, I'm 57 and I'm doing things that I never thought I could, including getting sober, including not saying I can't do this by myself, which is huge. I'm like, I can do it myself. It's like, no, you can't. Sometimes you need help, and that's okay. You know, going back to acting for 10 years. Who would have thought that? Not me, but here I am. Hey, I couldn't be happier, really, because it's helping me out, be able to do what I really want to do, you know, which is help people. So I think even just with my interviews, saying loud and proud that I'm in my sobriety is helping people. Because I was a high-functioning alcoholic, high-functioning, you know, and I think, you know, people out there listening might know what I'm talking about. I got A's in school. I took very good care of my children. I never drank during school or any of my acting gigs, you know. It was those times when you're with yourself or with other people. You know deep down inside if you're a normie or if you've got a problem. That's all. That's all that is. There's no judgment in there, right?
Absolutely.
I just wanted to be a happier person, and I didn't know that I could be. I was scared of sobriety, right? This is the fear of yeah.
I think it's really interesting though, because you know, the narrative in Hollywood right now talks a lot about sort of representation and inclusivity, and of course we talk an awful lot about race and sexuality and gender, but there is sort of this new push when it comes to mental health and especially awareness when it comes to verbalizing and talking about, you know, our struggles. And you know, coming from men, you know, we're in a very different position where we sort of don't talk about it and we're sort of encouraged to keep it quiet. So I think anytime when we get a chance to celebrate something like that, and like you said, the little things, they do count. You know, from the observer, from the television viewer, the drinking the coffee, the you know, the recovery chip on your desk, we will notice those things and we will say, hey, that's somebody that's like us and she's doing okay and we can do okay too. I like that. That's beautiful.
Thank you. You know, and you're right, because it's like I have 2 boys, you know, and so I want them to be able to talk about their feelings. So my boys are very involved in my recovery, as much as 2 teenagers can be. Let's not get all crazy, right? When I say involved, I mean we have the conversation. When I got out of rehab, I was so excited to tell them everything, and they're like, "Whoa, hold on, Mom. Whoa, glad you're feeling good. Can you just now go away? We want to play our video games. You're scaring us." So I learned this term called "stay in your own lane." Mom, stay in your own lane. Yeah, they use that again. I taught them that now. But they're right, you know, and it's something that like I wasn't ready until I was ready. It was nobody else to tell me I was ready. And it's because it's very subjective. My bottom was my bottom. And that looks different than everybody else's bottom, right? So
Absolutely.
yeah, so I feel for everybody out there who hasn't hit their bottom, whatever that looks like. So I can tell you right now, everyone else around you is telling you, oh, she's hit bottom. Really? No, because when you hit bottom is when you say, okay, I give, I need help.
Mhm.
I need, or I'm ready, right? Until then, you're still active in your disease.
Did you think about tackling it on your own beside going to a rehab, or?
Always. Always. I was always trying to quit. I was
Mm.
always switching. Oh, I only have one drink tonight, or I'll switch from wine to beer. I hate beer, you know. But just yeah, you play these little games with yourself. Oh, I went out and I only had 1 glass or 2 glasses. See, I didn't drink through all my 9 months of being pregnant. I don't drink during work. I don't drink during class. I'm not an alcoholic. You know, I can go a long time without drinking. You know, you just play all these games. At the end of the day, you know in your heart if it's a problem, especially if you're trying to even have this conversation. And every time I tried to quit, like try to adjust my drinking, those were all what I learned. Those were all baby relapses.
Mm-hmm.
Those are baby relapses. So although I haven't relapsed since I've been sober, you know, you're always trying to quit. It's like smoking. You know, you're always trying to quit, right? But the good thing is that my family and some of my friends saw that it was I was really struggling, and I was looking at 800 numbers on the TV set that said you can call anonymously and we'll help you, you know, with your addiction. And I was trying to finish my last year, my master's. It was in between, you know, the summer. So I thought I had to just get through it and I'll figure it out afterwards. I just have to get through. I have to get through. So, yeah, it was my sister who came to me and said, we want to do an intervention. And I said, you don't have to. Where do I go? You take care of my kids. Yeah, and she did not expect that. I'm a fighter, you know. She did not accept. She thought for sure I was going to say, nah, you know. So she said, oh, wait a minute. I don't know what to say now because that's not what they told me you were going to say. She said, I was looking at 800 numbers. I just was so afraid and so ashamed to call because I felt like a loser because I couldn't stop.
Right.
You know, I felt like a big loser. I felt like a failure. I thought, what's wrong with me? Why can't I just get this under control? How can I go 9 months and not drink? And then now I can't on this Saturday night drink more than 5 glasses or 10, right? And you just beat yourself up because you don't have the skills, you don't have the knowledge of what's going on, all the things you need, and you don't. And you also, it gives you a break. You know, you need a break from the cycle of the way the addict's brain thinks. You need a break from that for a minute. You need a break so that you can really kind of get down to the root of the why you use. We'll talk about the why. You can get anybody sober. I have friends who in rehab I met who were heroin meth heads, eating disorders, gambling disorders, sex disorders. It didn't matter. In this rehab, took them all in. An addiction was an addiction, period. What they addressed there, because this was a rehab plus a trauma specialist like clinic called Breathe Life Healing Center in Hollywood or LA. They dealt with the trauma, which is the why. Mm-hmm. Right? It's the why you're using. If you don't get to the why, you're just going to relapse.
Right.
It's the weed. Here's right, and here's your drinking. Here's your addiction, and down here is the why. That's the trauma. That when you get down, you can clean somebody up. Go to anyone. You can go to any these places where they sober you up. Ask how many people relapse because they never get to the why, and that's the ugly stuff. That's the painful stuff that we run from. You know, and I don't blame anybody from running from that. That stuff's ugly. It hurts. That stuff hurts. And a lot of times that stuff is old. It's been in there for a long time. So it in itself becomes something scary. It almost becomes a beast within itself. But when you actually have somebody around you who can help you get close to and lean into that trauma, you know, it's pretty amazing to be able to say, that, you know, I have a story. I'm not my story. Because while you're still living with your trauma, running from your trauma, and then your addiction, trying to self-medicate, you know, the trauma, you're using the lens of fear because you're running. Fear. You're looking through the lens of fear. You're not looking straight. You're not looking right. things aren't clear. And it's kind of like just a rabbit hole of stuff that's really hard to get out of unless somebody can help you just stop for a minute. But again, I feel for everybody out there right now who's even thinking about it. It is scary, but guess what? It's doable. And I'm one of those people, when I first got sober, and they're like, oh my God, my life is so good. Look at him sober. Shut up. It's horrible. I hate this. You know what I mean? I want to have a beer or I have a beer, and you're all so happy. I hate you. I wasn't angry. I just was like, I didn't get it. I didn't get it. And everyone kept saying, trust the process.
Right.
I was like, F the process. I don't like the process. I'm used to immediate gratification. Give me a bottle. Get rid of this pain right now. And that's what a lot of it is, immediate gratification, learning just to, okay, lean into it, right? It's going to be okay. That stuff's hard. I'm not over here telling you it's easy.
Hey.
But life isn't easy, right? Why would recovery be any different?
Exactly.
Right? It's not like it's one or the other. That's just life. It's a matter of, do you want more clear days, more good days than bad days, right? Yeah.
Well, things look very clear to you now.
Yes. Yeah.
You're proving it every week and every day.
Thank you. Yeah. Thank you.
So, all right. Where you said this Tuesday it restarts, I guess, this week.
We're coming back this Tuesday.
Okay.
ABC, and you guys are in Tennessee, right?
I'm in Nashville.
Oh, Nashville. Okay. What's the time there? Is there a difference?
Central Zone.
Well, it's
So I'm an hour behind LA time.
Oh, okay.
2 hours.
Oh, wait, but I think the time is different this week because I think the president's speaking. So, yeah, it's ABC Tuesday night. Google it. Or do whatever y'all do on the phones. I'm so electronically, lame. But, yeah, go Google Big Sky Tuesday night ABC and then find out what time. But, yeah, this next episode is going to pick up from, Sick Nick knows.
It's going to be exciting.
I know.
I can't say anything.
Well, no, Bay doesn't know what's going on. He doesn't really know. Just the pilot, Bay? Really? Just
the pilot. Just the pilot. Believe me, by what's today? Tuesday? By Thursday, I'll have it all set.
Yes, because Tuesday we start up again. I have to say, Bay's kind of doing it the way a lot of people like to do it now, which is the binge, just like cramming in and then you get it immediate gratification. I get that. Yeah.
I waited all my life for week. Where did it get me? Give me it all.
I know. Well, now I'm going to talk to my dad. I grew up, we had 3 station with the bunny ears and the aluminum foil.
Exactly.
We had to get up and turn the channel. But now it's like binge. That is kind of cool, I have to say. I binge Ancient Aliens. And then I get a big chunk of it. The extraterrestrial stuff, yeah. I know, I'm so strange. Oh, Denise, by the way, I made Denise into Aliens too. When you see a scene, you'll see she's reading the book. Check out the cover of the book.
That's funny.
It's what's it called? The Chariots, Chariots of Gods.
Oh, nice.
The book that
Chariot of the Gods, is that
Chariot of the Gods.
Yeah.
We got it cleared. And I'm sitting there trying to pretend I'm reading, and that's what I'm reading.
That's so awesome.
Yeah, these are little things that only your listeners get to look for. They're the book she's reading.
That's funny. That's cool. It's cool that you get to put those little things in there. It's for the character, yes, but it's for the people. Yeah. Sending little signals out to the people.
Well, I called the executive producer. I said, listen, I think Denise totally believes in extraterrestrial life forms and ancient alien theorists and all that kind of stuff, ancient astronaut theorists. And I said, I know you're going to think I'm crazy. Everyone thinks I'm crazy. My family thinks I'm crazy, but I'm not that crazy because 300 million people, now I'm throwing stats at him, also believe in other life forms. And he said, honey, I do too. I went, oh. So can Denise be reading the book? He goes, sure, go ahead. I'm already about to be no, I'm not crazy. And he's like, no, you're not crazy. I'm one of the 300 million that believes it too. I said, oh, okay. My family thinks I'm nuts.
So I have one last question for you from me. Okay. So, Natalie Allen Lind. So, I'm guessing you guys haven't had much of an opportunity to work together too much because of just the way the scenes have played out. But I imagine she has so much to learn from you, right? Coming from an acting family, having a sister who's also an actor. I mean, I imagine that she can learn an awful lot just by kind of studying at the feet of the master, right?
Oh my God, that's so sweet. We never got to work together, but we'd cross paths 6 feet apart
Sure.
outside, going from hair and makeup, because like she'd be finishing a scene and I would be going in, like, again, they kept everyone separated. But there was one scene where she and Jade were in Huel and Doit. Wait a minute. Well, we gotta be careful. Yeah. Like clubbing. There's a scene where, I can't even say that. There was a scene that Denise actually was close to them. I never close to them. And it's funny because I was just doing what I usually do in between scenes. And I love having fun with the crew. Because one thing that's nice about doing something over 3 decades, and when you're in your 50s, 57, you start to realize that it's not brain surgery. You're not curing cancer, nor are you curing a pandemic. That's my new term. Well, it used to be cancer. Now it's like, how about pandemic? I said, so it's important too, and that they work really long hours. First one's in, last one's there. We're beating the crap out of our crew because it's such a crazy show. And they're so wonderful that I often like joke and play and have fun in between, and and just mess with them and just have fun. And she had actually looked up, and meanwhile, the 3 of them have been in this one area throughout most of the show, not very light, not very pleasant, and their acting that they were doing was really dramatic, right?
Right.
And then they have a scene with me. I can see her face. She goes, wow, you just have a lot of fun when you work. There was like pain in her face. I said, well, yeah, honey. I take my work very seriously. But I also remember when I was really young, I was like very focused, very serious.
Right.
It's like, don't, people aren't going to think I'm serious, if I crack a joke. Some might think that. But here's something else that's nice about getting older. You just don't care. You're like, I know my truth. And I know I'm very serious about what I do. Right. And I know that I haven't gotten fired yet, so I'm doing something right. But I know my truth. Do you know what I mean? It's like, so there's comfort in that. Not to say I can't be told by somebody, hey, Dedee, you suck. Because I'll be like, oh my God, really? Tell me, right? But when you're younger, you're a lot less sure about everything. When you get a little older, you're like, yeah, that is one thing that's kind of nice about being a seasoned person, woman, actor, is that, you kind of go, okay, I get this now. It took me a long time, but I get it now. And I do want to kind of take care of the crew's feelings. And I want them to say, oh, Dedee's working today. Yay, right? Not, oh, God, Dedee's working today. Trust me, there are some people do that. When
I can imagine.
Not on our set, but there's actors where the crew's like, oh, I'm going. I've worked on those sets. Not this one, but other sets. I do want to be the actor that they kind of go, oh, good, she's pleasant to work with. And yes, hopefully my work is solid. But guess what? I did go to lunch with Natalie to a place here in Canada, outdoors, 6 feet apart with Matt. Had coffee, but we're like, and she is so lovely. She's just so sweet. And check this out. Talk about a small world. She went to my little sister's store in California out of nowhere.
Oh, wow.
My sister said, wait a minute. I think I know you. You're on Biggest Guy. And she's like, yeah. And she goes, you work with my sister Dedee. And she's like, what? Because she looks nothing like me. Lori's brunette and gorgeous and skinny and the whole thing, gorgeous. And now it's like, you're Dedee's sister. So yeah, they took a picture of each other in their masks and they sent it to me. Isn't that funny?
That's awesome.
That's funny.
All the stores in California. The one little teeny store that my sister worked at. Yeah.
Wow.
That's funny you mentioned Natalie. That's my story about Natalie.
That's cool.
This has been amazing talking to you.
Thank you. You too. You guys are great. And I love all the animals. And
How about social media? Do you want to plug your Instagram? Is that where you're hanging out at?
Dedee Pfeiffer Official. And I'm pretty lame at it. It's Instagram. I don't know what I'm doing. I don't do Twitter or Facebook because I could barely do Instagram. I got it for the show because my boys wouldn't let me do social media. They don't want me getting on a soapbox, and they're like, "You're not allowed, Mom, to get all like opinionated on there because we hate it when people get opinion." I said, "Okay, honey, I can't embarrass my sons." So you'll notice I try to get my point across quietly, in a way that they don't really notice that I'm kind of being opinionated. But you'll also see a lot of Canadian birds on my balcony that I feed because I am away from my animals and my children. So I have this little balcony, and it started with like a moth that I named Jeb the moth. The moth took off. I divorced him. And then I went into a couple pigeons, I named them, and then seagulls. I have quite a few seagulls on my balcony, and they all have names. And you'll see them on my Instagram.
Nice.
And Gangsta, Big Boy, Gilligan, Skipper, Gypsy, Jack. There's quite a few out there. Neighbors don't
like me. What are you going to do, right?
Hey, it keeps me from drinking. It keeps me from smoking cigarettes. It keeps me from jumping off the balcony because they're in the way. I can't get past them to even jump. It's mental wellness. It's all about my mental wellness, people. Sorry about the birds. They're keeping me sane. And they're my friends. Awesome. They're really cute. Yeah. You'll see one on my Instagram that I talked to named Gilligan. He's so cute. He's really cute. The seagull. He knows me.
Well, everybody, they need to go Tuesday night. Big Sky on ABC.
ABC.
Google it because the president's going to be on, obviously, from what we're hearing. So Google the time in your time zone. But it's coming back after the big bottleneck.
Yes. And after this next big wave of Klein saucers, you'll have to have me back on because then there's even more crazy stuff. That's just because it's a lot of new characters that are fantastic, of the same caliber as John and Brooke and Valerie and all the other ones. Yeah, it's going to be exciting and fun in a whole different way. And this is, like I said, the Klein saucers are a pretty messed up family. They make everyone's family look pretty good.
Nice. Yeah, absolutely. Come back anytime. Love to talk to you.
All righty, you got it. Thank you for having me.
Thanks, Dedee. Great meeting you.
The cat and the dog and everybody.
All right. Have a great night.
Have a great night.
Thank you. You too, guys. Thank you for having me. Bye-bye.
You're welcome.